Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ojasvi Mishra, and I welcome you to another episode of Indic Talks. Today, we will be discussing Hindu Samskaras in the traditions of Bali, Indonesia, and we will be introducing you to the Balinese Hindu culture and particularly about the ceremony for a Hindu since in the womb till marriage, including the physiologies as well as these steps of ceremonies done locally by Balinese people. To elucidate the same, we have our speaker today, Dr. Komang Sudarmi ji, who is a PhD holder in Ayurvedic medicine and is a consultant in Bali today. I request you to take over here from here, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Komang. So I graduated PhD from Gujarat Ayurveda University, and it was 3 years before. And at present, I'm as a consultant in Bali, consultant in wellness center. So it's been 3 years I've been working in tourism place, but still having relations with Ayurveda. So what I'm going to present this time is something very unique. This is a samskar, but it's not a Indian samskar, but it's still related with Hinduism. So maybe some of you will be knowing that Hindu spreads all over the world. And one of them is in my place, which is Indonesia. Exactly the island which is very famous, called as Bali Island. So maybe there will be a bit of difference about this samskar. We just accept the difference as well as maybe if there's any question later, you can always ask for me in between. Okay, so maybe just let's get started with the presentations. I'm doing a very simple explanation here, introducing you what types of ceremony that is present in in Hindu in Bali Island. Yeah. So you can start sharing the screen. So
Ma'am, is the screen visible?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start. This is about Hindu Samskara, special traditions of Bali in Indonesia. Next slide. So, as I've introduced earlier, there is one country called as Indonesia, if you're aware. So Indonesia actually is archipelago. It's of a thousands island, they said. So Indonesia is republic country, and then it's located in Southeast Asia and Oceania. And it's located also in between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. So as I said, archipelago consists of 17,000 islands here, including Bali itself. Now we zoom into Bali. Bali is a province in Indonesia, and it's located in westernmost of Lesser Sunda Island. And actually, Bali is a famous one. And sometimes in tourism, because I'm working at tourism, sometimes Bali is more famous than Indonesia itself. So now we're talking about Hinduism in this island. Okay, next slide. Okay. First of all, of course, we need to know Hindu in Bali. So if we see completely the populations of Indonesia, around 87% are Muslims. But an exceptions in Bali is 87% of their populations are Hindu. So if you calculate it totally, it's around 1.7% of Indonesian, a complete total Indonesian populations are Hindu. There are 5 religions here. Yeah, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Catholic, Protestant. Yeah, and Hindu is one of them, being a minority. And Hindu arrived in Indonesia at the 1st century. I'm sorry for the slide, it's not displacing the information, but I just tell in brief historically, arrival Hindu originally at the 1st century CE. So from the Indian traders, the scholars, the sailors, as well as the priests. And later on, Hindu is blended with their local beliefs, including Javanese, which is the first one to arrive here. And then we have, it is evolved the unique versions of Hinduism in the island. So we see a lot of things related with spiritual entity, supernatural things. So it's very usual here. I think my experience of staying in India for almost 11 years also shows some similarity between India beliefs as well as Balinese people beliefs. So the supernatural knowledge is identified before by Japanese people and a mix of Sundanese and now we call the supernatural power as a term of Hyang. Yeah, so whenever you come to Bali, you heard about this terminology, Hyang. So it means the supernatural things. Next slide. Next. So I'm not sure is there universally in Hindu conceptually in India also, but what we believe is Hindu in Bali, we believe that when we born, we are possessing of certain obligations. So this obligation is to be accomplished or to be fulfilled. So this obligation is nothing but the relations between our ancestors and the successors. So this obligation consists of 3 things, which we call as Trirana. So there is Dewarana, the obligation related for the goddesses, and also the Bhuta, we say, yeah, the micro. And second one is Pitrarana. Pitrarana is related with the ancestors and then all the being, the societies we call as Pitra, and then it's fulfilled by Pitra as well as Manusia Yadnya. Before going to the Pancha Yadnya theory, I think I need to mention this because this is the root of why the purpose of we are doing Panchayatnya. So as we know, we have this Devayatnya, Resiyatnya, Pitrayatnya, Manusyayatnya, as well as Bhutayatnya. So the offerings that we do, the rituals that we do to all these 5 elements is to accomplish these 3 obligations according to our beliefs. And we also believes of the timing, a timing where we do Panchayatnya. It's a level of the age that we consider that a person can do this obligation in time. So we call this in the term of Chatur Asrama. Yeah, Chatur Asrama. Some of the language is coming from Sanskrit language, but it's also a mix, as I said, in historical part, it's a mix of Sundanese, Javanese, and Balinese locally. So it's become like this. Chatur Asrama begins with Brahmachari and Grahasta, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. So all these 4 level of age is a complete age to do Panchayatnya. But when we talk about the Samskara, we always refer to Manusayatnya. See, if we don't leave this Devayatnya, Resiyatnya, and others, this will become a very long lecture. And I just focus on Manusia Yadnya at present, so that we all will know what is the difference between Indian Hindu, Indian background, and Hindu Balinese background. Next slide. Okay, so of all this conceptual, there is always a purpose behind that. So a purpose of doing Manusia Yadnya, or the offerings, which is referred to Manusya, or the being, is for getting or establishing Suputra, we call as a person who can be responsible for himself, his family, as well as the society, and being functional, not only in every sections, but also in a good and beneficial way. So beside this offering, we have another concepts also, which we call that bind us, that bind us to do this manusyayatnya. So we call this as Trikaya Parishuddha. So I know this is a Sanskrit term, and again, it's also in quotes of Mahatma Gandhi before. Have you heard about this? Happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. So we have a same concept here, thinking rightly, which we refers into Manachika, and saying rightly, which we refers to Vachika, and doing rightly, which we refers to Kayika. Okay, so we have these protocols to do manusyayatnya on a limit of this Trikaya Parishuddha. So why this manusyayatnya? Because manusyayatnya is mostly rituals, in the form of ritual, because we have this sense of devotion as a being. So the sense of devotions is devoted to our religion, our family, our ancestors, as well as the government, because they all are protecting us during our living. So this rituals is also considered to be a tools to fulfill our hopes or expectation, because when we live, we certainly have our family, have the expectation, and becoming individual, aware of ourselves. We hope on something good happen and useful happen by our lives. So rituals is to be performed so that we always in a track of good fulfillment. Yeah. So manusyayatnya, or the ceremony, is of actually conclusively is on the chart. We start with Pawiwahaan. So Pawiwahaan is the marriage ceremony. This is a terminology of Balinese people, if you see, Pawiwahaan. It's the marriage. Megedong-Gedongan is like 7 months. 7 months pregnant of the mother, we also consider that there is a ceremony. Jata karma is when the baby is born. Kepus Pungsed is when the umbilical cord is fall off, and Ngelepas Hawon is usually of 12 days. There is some significance. We'll see it later. And Tutug Kambuhan is on 42 days. And Nelu bulan is 3 months. So 3 months of age of the baby, we also do a ceremony. Otonan is the 6-month ceremony. And Manekali is where we do the ceremony when they attain, boys or girl, attain puberty. And Mapandas is the last, considered to be the last responsible of a parent to do to their child. Mapandas is a filing of the teeth. Yeah, some teeth. So we will see one by one. First of all, next slide. Okay, so we see Pawiwahaan. Why I started here, Pawiwahaan? Because to achieve our purpose to do manusyayatnya, which is certainly creating or establishing a suputra, or establish good person in a family. So we need to go under the process of marriage first. Yeah. Nowadays, there is a lot of phenomena. Of course, we don't look into that. Traditionally, Pawiwahaan is to prepare the next generation or your successor. Still stick with the Suputra concept. We need to do this ceremony because this ceremony is inclusive in all and symbolizing the meaning of its importance. So usually Pawiwahaan is the steps where we do before, having a successor. First of all, we need to select background of a person we want to get married to. Basically, Balinese people, they see a caste also. Yes, they do have a caste. And in Balinese, they do have like matching, it's unlike in India. Of course, there is a Jyotisha and things, but we are not doing it very strictly. Nowadays, it's just the understanding between the family, especially with the caste. It's still a very, in parallel with the Indian concept people. So basically, we select a person from a good backgrounds of family. We see from the physical level, from mental level, as well as the spiritual. So from physically, either they have a disorder or not, because it's considered to be good if you're out of disorder. And then mentally, or in the family, in the gene, they don't have any mental issues, that will be great. And then by the spirit is the rituals that the family usually do, because this is a responsible of a parent to start the ceremony right from baby reaches the womb. Yeah, so in the womb itself, we already do the ceremony. As I said in the chart, there is a lot of ceremony. If one of the steps is skipped, maybe or probably there is a possibility of lacking in union of their life. Yeah. So it will be good to have a complete rituals. And usually the marriage is considered to be done above 19 years old, because mm, they are mature physically as well as mentally. So in Pawiwahaan, of course, there's a big steps if we want to see, right from selecting the day, auspicious day, which we call as Madewasa Ayu. And then we need to tell to the family for the purpose of visiting to the family, and then just giving the gift, and then reading all the generation from the ancestors, whether we have very close relations with the family, so that it's considered to be incompatible relationship. So we need to see all this background, and then comes into the purifications. Actually, once I started with the ceremony, each one of them has a very unite manner or pattern. So we consider this pattern as a purifying, start from physical level, mental level, as well as spiritual level. And usually both of the brides and groom will be purified, before arrival to the bride home. It will be watched by, and then it will be led by what we call as pemangku. Pemangku is pandit in India. Yeah, so pemangku is the respected older, and he knows all the mantras to guide us to go for this ceremony. And there's several yeah, a lot of ceremonies symbolize of even this lingga yoni things, which we call as nimbus tikeh dadakan, which means symbolically they will have like like a flat surface, and then later on they break that surface. That's a symbolize of lingga yoni. And if a person understand, I mean, if the couple understanding the purpose of that, of course they will be focusing on their target or their purpose in marriage. And as I said before, there is a lot of uh, purifications related with the physical, mental, as well as we see from top of the body, bottom part of the body, as well as the middle part of the body. Usually we do physically, which we call as biocolor. We use the offerings always. Balinese people have a lot of offerings, and then there is a yellow offerings, there is a green offerings. Of course, for other tradition, it will be confusing, but once you are here, you will be seeing every day these people are doing an offering in the form of maybe the fruits, and the a very structured patterned fruits, as well as the coconut leaves usually. So physically purification is done with the green color leaves, coconut leaves. We are using coconut leaf because it's considered to be the purest types of plants, so we are using that. And then mentally the purification is done, usually we call as prayaschita, and it is done by using yellow coconut leaves. And the third one is durmangala is we are using, if you have heard about red hanjuang plant, so that is the plant is used to purify a middle part of the body. Next. Okay, so after getting married, of course, we expect that the women side being pregnant. Yeah, so after being pregnant, they'll take care, and at the 7th month of Western calendar, which is actually a 6-month Bali calendar. Yeah, for your information, that our calendars are different. So unlike Western calendars, they have 365 counting days in a year, but we have to 10 days, 210 days. So this Megedong-Gedongan is done at 6 months of Bali calendar. So what is the meaning of Megedong-Gedongan? Gedong means uterus. So to purify this uterus. And why it is done on 6-month Bali calendar or 7 months in Western calendar? That's because maybe the logic is in the medical perspective, they have something called as synaptogenesis. So the synaptogenesis is where 6 months of the baby pregnant till 3 years, they already can learn something. So nowadays we have a lot of program in pregnancy, including this pre-educational learning. So it is done right when the baby is inside the womb itself. So Megedong-Gedongan is meant for introducing the baby to the ceremony and purifying its livelihood. And maybe historically, if I'm not mistaken, um, we have heard that Bhagawan Sri Krishna also have told the story about the strategy of breaking through a battle formations to Subhadra, yeah, his sister. So he was asking her that she should not sleep in between. but in between she slept off, unfortunately, and then later on Abhimanyu was born, and then he faced the battlefield, and he knows exactly what the strategy or what he heard from Bhagavan Sri Krishna, and that is also an indications like there's also a relations between our explanation as well as the things that happening practically here. So usually in this Megedong-Gedongan period, we have a ceremony called as pangrujakan. This is to introduce the baby inside the womb uh, to shatrasa. Shatrasa, the sweet, sour, salty, bitter, astringent. So the 6 days to the baby, and then to clean out the babies as well as the mother, because Hindu people believe that reincarnation is real, which means we have something in our past life, and then it's always related with us. So the impact of that past life should not be affecting us in the next life. So this is the whole purpose we are doing this, Megedong-Gedongan. So this is also for protections. Automatically, when body is purified, a person is aware and conscious, and they're conscious also with the protections of they themselves. Yeah, protection from the negative energy. Next. Yeah. So the third ceremony is Jata Karma Samskara. Jata Karma means the ceremony which is done soon after the baby is delivered. And this is also to remind the baby. I know the baby is not understand yet, but just to remind that the baby that his soul comes to this body uh, to have a responsible first. Yeah, not only to live, but also he binds with a lot of responsible, continuing the traditions as well as respecting the ancestors, and also to release the ancestor as well as the from the obligations, the things that I've mentioned earlier about the trirana. Yeah. So in Jata Karma, nothing much. It's not a very big ceremony because it's the purpose is only to purify the baby before coming inside the house. So usually father will hold the baby, and then he will read mantra. If he doesn't know the mantras, he can just say it in the language that he can understand. And usually we have a small offering which we call as bantan dapatan. So this bantan dapatan is a symbol of gratitude to the universe that we have a new life coming to our house, and expectedly this lives will have a good karma and will be benefited in the world. And on the day of Jata Karma Samskara, we have also procedure which we call as tanam ari-ari. So tanam ari-ari means placenta. So this placenta, not sure what they are doing in India, but for Hindu in Bali, we should collect this placenta, at least a piece of that placenta, and usually this placenta will be covered in a mud pot. So in mud pot, we prepare with a cover of white cloth. On top of that white cloth will be written Akshara Om. And then below will be written Akshara Ah. So this is to protect and then respect to the placenta, giving nourishment to the baby during the baby is growing in the womb. Yeah. Next. Next. Yeah. Next is Kepus Pungsed. Kepus Pungsed, or we call as Mapanelahan. Mapanelahan usually is done between 7 days, 1 to 7 days. Usually the umbilical cord will be fall off during this day. Yeah. So we believe that umbilical cord as giving nourishment in the womb, also giving a protection to the baby. yeah, symbolically it's a protection because the baby literally it is dependent on this placentas, etc. So we believe these elements of placenta is consists of four elements which we call as kandapat. Okay, so the kandapat is consists of the blood which we call getih, and then the fat which we call as lamas, and then the amniotic fluid which we call as yehnyom, and also the real placenta, yeah, which we call as ari-ari. So when this Kepus Pungsed means the umbilical cord is fall off. So after it's falling off, literally the baby will be so independent. Independent in the sense now it is stand with his own system. Yeah. So I said about kandapat, the blood, the fat, the ari-ari, the amniotic fluid. So this influence of kandapat also will be reduced after the umbilical cord is fall off. So to give a respect and give a gratitude again, symbolically, we are doing this ceremony, which we call as Kepus Pungsed. So usually Kepus Pungsed, because the baby stays at home, we have to purify the entire house, yeah, entire house. And then later on, the umbilical cord, which is fall off, it should be remain kept or stored inside something we make as a like in a form of chicken, but we use leaves, yeah, the coconut leaves, and we keep that umbilical cord inside that, and then it will be hang in a place which we already purified, and a special place in a corner where the baby is sleeping, the opposite of the leg of the baby. So not sure what is it's indicated, but this also will protect the baby. And sometime the baby will have some trouble, trouble not only physically, we also believe or supernatural things here in Bali. So whenever the baby is very sensitive about the supernatural thing, whenever the baby shows a symptom like crying too loud and then very cranky, so we use this uh, umbilical cord, the dry umbilical cord, and infuse that in a water, and the baby has to drink maybe a drop or two drops. So this will calm down the baby as per the beliefs, yeah. But not everyone will do this because technically it's quite difficult to accept this time. Okay, next. Okay, next is Ngelepas Hawon. Ngelepas Hawon means yeah, again, it's still related with Kandapat, which is something impure right now. Impure in the sense it's already giving its job, protecting the baby. Now it's dying, right? So that physical energy is replaced by a non-physical. It's a transition between protector, protector of a physical body, which was literally placenta, now becoming a non-physical being. So that till the baby becoming independent by its own system. So this non-physical energy, which we call as Sanghyang Kumara in Sanskrit, is a god for pediatric, of course, for child, sorry. So we also believe there is something called as Sanghyang Kumara, who always refers when the baby is having problem, for such as to protect the baby, and when the baby is sick, we always ask the Sanghyang Kumara to give its protections and then heal the baby. So there is some non-physical energy that is dedicated to protect the baby this time. Usually, Ngelepas Hawon will be done at 12 days, 12 days of the baby, yeah, when after he was born. So in here also, the things, kandapat, which I told you earlier, the fall of umbilicus, the Kandapat is changed its name. So maybe with the higher non-physical energy concept, the names is also changed to become Banaspati Raja, Anggapati, Banaspati, and Prajapati. So Kandapat is becoming like a god now. Okay. And then usually the ceremony is done in the yard of the house and then also at the well because Vishnu god of Vishnu is there. And then in the kitchen for Brahma god. And then at Kamulan. Kamulan is where we are praying in a family. So Kamulan or Sangha in Bali is a place of Shiva god present. Okay. Next. Okay. So next is Tutug Kambuhan. Tutug Kambuhan is done when the baby age is 42 days. Yeah, I don't know whether there is a similarity of Indian culture or this, but usually if we see from medical perspective, at 42 days, the umbilical cord has broken. So the thin layer of a skin has changed, the blood circulations and the food consumption has flow smoothly. So the sweats, the tears, the saliva, urine, and fecal matter has come out, and it's considered to be an impure elements of the baby. Yeah, everything has stopped. Okay, so this is also happened to the mother. So anything dirts will be stopped right away. That's why we need to give some ceremony and usually, again, the location of ceremony will be done inside the house because the baby literally living there as a, we classify as a Brahma place, Vishnu place, and Shiva place. Again, in kitchen, in bathroom as well, and as well as in a place where we pray, which we call as Sangha. So usually this is quite uh, bigger than the other ceremony which I mentioned earlier. So this usually begins by prayers by the priest, and then there is an offering, and then a cleansing instrument also is made by coconut leaves, and also the mantras. So the expectation that we need in the baby will be chanted during this ceremony. Next. Yeah, Nelu Bulanin. See, before I'm going further, of course, there is just like India, we have a very much culture. We are rich of culture here in Bali. Every place, every direction in Bali has different beliefs. See, the beliefs comes because of the ancestors, and it's becoming a culture. So that culture is followed by the successor. Sometime the ceremony will be different, the purpose will be different, slight different, but not a complete different. But a slight belief will be different, the offering may be different. As I'm telling now, is the general concept which we usually learn in our religion subject. So next we continue with Nelu Bulanin. Nelu Bulanin means 3 months of Balinese calendar, which is 105 days. And Nelu Bulanin is also called as Nyambutin. So Nyambutin in Balinese language means receiving. So we have a new life, new incarnations. So always we believe that the baby which is born newly, they are incarnating of our ancestor. So even we have a ceremony to ask who is incarnating the baby. So for the whether it's right or not, I'm not sure, but it's a culture. We still do follow the culture. Yeah. And why this 3 months of Balinese or 105 days is very because it's considered that the senses of the baby and also the digestive tract are activated. which means the baby has an independent system right now. So the purity of the baby is also depend from the good and the bad this activation, because every activations of system has consequences, right? So the consequences is how we take care about the senses as well as digestive. If we take care, if we maintain good, that will react good functionally. Yeah. So before 3 months calendar of Bali, usually baby is considered to be impure. So the baby is even not supposed to enter the temples. So in Bali, that's the fact. So the baby is not allowed to enter because he is still impure. He still have a function to develop. Yeah. And then after this Nelu Bulanin, ceremony transitions, the baby is introduced to the elements, which we call Pancha Mahabhuta, the elements which is forming the life itself, the physical body. So there is a process where the baby is stepping down the soil, and then maybe the hair is cut, because the hair is considered as mala or impure thing. So that is also cut, yeah, as the symbol of cutting down the impurity. And also there is some offering which we call as pemlukatan. Pemlukatan means purifying the body. So usually because the baby carries its own karma, so that the karma should not affect so much in the baby's new life. That's why this ceremony is done, so that we focus, or the baby will be focusing on his own life in that direction. Okay, bringing up that karma, but less influence. Yeah. And next, yeah, this is called as otonan, the ceremony called as otonan, where the baby is attained 210 days, yeah, in Bali calendar, which we call as is a year. A year consists of 210 days in Balinese calendar. So we always celebrate our birthday every 210 days, traditionally. Of course, not with the partying as what is going on nowadays, but we have a specific offerings to be offered. Yeah, so 210 days, every 210 days inside the family, not a big things, just preparing small offering from coconut leaves, and then all those symbol, and then praying in that, and the parents also will be guiding the ceremony for the kids. So essentially the purpose is to remind again that we lived in this world full of distractions. Of course, we need to be focused on why we came in this earth. So the thing is, we have an obligation, we do that, and also increasing our awareness, consciousness about the selves. So this is the thing that we always remind every 6 months in Western calendar, which we call as otonan. So till I'm in this age, also I'm doing otonan every 6 months. So always reminding ourselves to the obligation that we have and the essence why we are living in this world. So in the first otonan, usually, again, the hair is cut. The hair is symbol of impurity, to lessen the impurity in our past karmas. So in the next otonan, there is no cutting hair. It's just the offering. Yeah. So the celebration is also consists of those three, purifying the body physically, mentally, as well as in the middle part of the body. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay. Menekali is the next ceremony, which Balinese people usually do. What Manekali means is when a person attains puberty, because we are having all the senses, and then anatomically, physically, we bring out all the functions, and suddenly in this certain age, functions, bodily functions, physiologically as well as anatomically, is change. So to celebrate these changes, because still we have to focus on the positive side, physical change comes with the of course with the mental aspect, not only physical but also mental aspect. So this influence should not direct us to a very negative point of view of life. So we need to be stable to use this anatomical and understanding that this changes brings about the stability in us if we do it properly, if we maintain, and if we can use this sensory or anatomic changes of the anatomically in better way. So this will maintain our focus as an individual, not only in an individual, because it's a selfish term. For as an individual, we can't say that the children is selfish, because they still don't understand what it is. But as we grow up, as we attain puberty, we have our own perspective, we have our own understanding, and this understanding comes along with the changes, transformations to become individual to a social being. So socially, are we beneficial enough for the society? This is what is meant for the ceremony of Menek. Yeah. So this ceremony usually is done for Balinese people according to their ability. So some people are doing in a very simple way, in a nista way, and then in madhyama way, we said in moderate way, and then in uttama way. Usually it's related with the family background and also the ability of the financial and then the caste. Yeah, so we still have those influence. And usually Manekali is done and it's focused to giving respect to goddesses Kama as well as Rati, which is the god who responsible of desire and love, which is common in a person who's attaining puberty. Yeah. So still we have a very same pattern, just like previous ceremony, physically, mentally, as well in the middle part of the body is to be purified. But the difference is because the puberty attains in the girls and the boys, so the offering will be different. Yeah, so the offering in a girl, it's usually called as Banten Sesayut Sabarah. So this is for the girls, and then for the boys, usually it's called as Ngeraja Singa. So this is done usually after the development, physical development of a person. So when a girl attain menstruation, puberty sign, and then for the boys, maybe changes of the sound as well as deepening of the sound, and then appearance of the hair in some part of the body. So at that time, they have to do this ceremony, which is Manekali. Okay, next. Okay, the last ceremony that has to be done for Balinese people, and this is actually the last responsible of a parent becoming a very happy day, because they don't have any responsible again after that. So this is called as Mepandas. Mepandas is a ceremony when a person attain maturity. There are some perspective. It can be done actually on the day of Manekali, which I have mentioned earlier, after the puberty, exactly, and then before the marriage. So some people doing by the time of marriage itself. So actually we have a concept called as Sadripu, which is also there in India. So Sadripu is the 6 desires of a person. So this desire is important also. It's not a negative desire if we know the meaning of this desire and can control. So in this, actually, symbolically, our teeth, the canines, are filing. Yeah, filing means we need to by the pandit, of course, by the pandit. The ceremony is done by filing the canine teeth, upper part, not the down part. So the 6 of canine will be filing. So this is a symbol of cutting down the bad satripu, or this kama, loba, krodha, moha, mada, matsarya. So by filing this teeth symbolically, we expect that satripu will be gone, yeah, in the puberty. But not gone completely. Of course, it's also important. You need to have some of the satripu so that your life will be in harmony. Um, but of course, another purpose is to see if a human being also having an animal tendency, the instinct. Yeah. So this instinct usually is controlled by remembering again, having this ceremony, remembering that this natural instinct to be controlled and to be used for a good purpose. And then from now onward, after Mapanda ceremony, a person is legal to get married for the next steps. Yeah. So this is all the ceremony which is happening in Bali culture. Hopefully, this can get into your understanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, ma'am. I will now invite Paritosh ji to ask you a few questions.
Namaste, Dr. Komang.
Namaste.
Thank you for this wonderful presentation and a very, very new insight on the Balinese culture. I had one doubt for a very long time. I have seen in one of the some marriage Facebook post that there was a banner where the marriage was going on and it was called as like entering or something grihastha ashrama. So, do you use such kind of words in ceremonies and etc.?
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
as
symbolically we have that, we
Mhm.
we use like we call as a dadap, daun dadap. So this dadap, like a tree, yeah, small tree. So this stick as the stem is placed, and then symbolically it is cross, so that it symbolizes of new life, not only a single now being together. So this is also there in our country.
and is there anything like post death, like in India after death we have shraddha and etc. Like 10 first day and then 13 days and 16 days and then after 1 year. So any
Oh
post
yes.
death ceremonies are there?
Yeah, so post ceremony, of course, is there, and then we are not usually a family member are not supposed to go to the temple because they consider to be impure. They are covered with the sadness and then all these things, grief. So they are not supposed to enter before they are purified. I think it's exactly 3 months after that.
And is
Yeah.
there any concept of shraddha also?
Not sure which one you're referring to.
Shraddha means we perform certain rites respecting our ancestors, like
Mm-hmm.
whoever is died,
Oh
like
yes,
up to
we
three
do have.
generations.
Yeah. In the presentation, I was mentioning you about Sangha, right? So the place where we are praying. So this place in one of the statue, we have several statue referring to the gods which want to visit, and then the ancestor. So we have an ancestor part. So we place them in a very special statue place inside Sangha, and we pray to them every day. And literally, if any big ceremony like a birthday, we also celebrate birthday of a house, a house, a temple. So which we call as Odalan. So every Odalan day, they will get a special offering, and then every like Purnami, like a full moon and then half moon, they also get a special offering from that.
It's wonderful. I think we have to learn more about it.
Yeah, a lot thing to learn.
Yes, 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 yes. No more questions from my side, and I'm really
Yes, yes.
thankful that you accepted our invitation and no, be there for this session. It was really wonderful, very new insight.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am, one of the queries that arises is often like one of the pictures depicted in the celebratory ceremonies was that what is exactly the emotion of vegetarianism in Bali?
Okay. So for vegetarians, we don't have, it's generally, of course, we do believe of ahimsa, but still concept or culturally, we don't do vegetarian, total vegetarian. We just select what kind of meat protein we can consume. Like we worship also cow, we consider as a mother. So we don't touch that. Most of Hindu people, but those who comes from some eras, modern era, they don't really consider that, they understand exactly. But now come back to the situations, of course, we go back to the concepts. We don't have that vegetarian concept. Instead, we have a lot with the sacrifice offering with the animal background. Like we sacrifice the chicken, like goats, and many several things, in our offerings.
Out
Ma'am,
of curiosity, I'm sorry, I barge in.
no, please,
Out of
please.
curiosity, is there any tantra kind of traditions also in when it comes to worship?
Yeah, philosophically, yes, but because we cover with a lot of thing, even without meaning or philosophical aspect itself is already consuming a lot of time of the ceremonies. We don't really focus on that tantra aspect. So tantra aspect is usually done in temple, where after the ceremonies, the pandit will say a preach about the meaning or philosophy behind every ceremonies as a whole, but not in general. I think it's not happening also in India to say every steps is philosophical, right? So it's done special in special occasion.
I think that brings us to the end of the question answer session. Thank you very much for your time, ma'am. It was
Thank you.
incredibly valuable to understand the practice of Hinduism in Bali and the samskaras that are followed there, and also to understand the similarities and dissimilarities that we share among ourselves. Thank you very much, and we wish to have many such talks with you. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.